Ça va être sympatoche. Voilà, je voulais juste faire un petit truc calme. Bon, j'avoue qu'un petit détroit. Mais bon, faut que je voie comment faire pour faire le petit détroit. Puis ça va se passer. Allez. Donc The First Tree. Ça fait un peu penser. J'aime bien les jeux comme ça, les jeux d'aventure ou autre. Graphiquement, ça change en fait de ce qu'on a habituellement. J'aime beaucoup. Ça change un peu de ce qu'on a habituellement. Donc vous me verrez, des fois je ferai des petits jeux comme ça, et puis des fois j'en ferai pas du tout. Ça dépendra vraiment. Voilà. Donc nouvelle partie, oui. Ça c'est sûr. Que je regarde. Ça c'est bon. Hop. Allez. On lance. J'espère que vous apprécierez l'aventure. Je trouve ça vraiment sympa. Les petits jeux comme ça, sympatoches. On voyage, ça nous détend. Préparez votre petit thé en même temps que ce jeu, comme je l'ai fait.
Are you awake? I thought I heard you get up.
Alors, ça me
Yeah,
dit...
I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't sleep.
Are you thinking about him?
Yeah, a bit. Usually get back to sleep, my love. I'm fine.
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
I don't know, it seems weird, but I had one of the most vivid dreams of my life. I saw a fox on a snowy mountain, just looking confused and worried.
Je viens juste de penser. Il n'y a pas les sous-titres, donc je comprends, mais... Voilà. C'est peut-être mieux si... Oui, j'ai pas pensé aux sous-titres. Voilà.
Those eyes. I can't get those eyes out of my head. She was running in the windy snow, looking for something.
Do you think it has to do with you and what's been going on?
I don't know. It was just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense. A lot's happened the past couple days, that's all.
Well, if you're not going to sleep anyway, you should tell me. I want to hear.
All right.
Bon, je fais exprès de moins parler pendant que ça parle ou s'il y a des cinématiques parce que je trouve que c'est mieux pour vous immerger. Mais c'est sympa, hein. Déjà l'univers c'est sympa. Bon, je suppose qu'il faut être tout en haut et je suis pas le bon endroit. Peut-être pas. Ah si, il faut faire 2 sauts. Ok. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a derrière nous? Ouais. C'est vraiment sympa. Non! C'est un bébé renard ça? Comment je fais ça? Ah ok. Ça c'est zoomé. connais ces touches. Ok, ils te redisent pas, les touches. Ok, ok. Ok. Oh putain. Ok, là. Comment tu fais ça là? Ça dit. Non, c'est pas ça. Attends.
So, not
Ok.
far from her
C'est des B.
home, she followed that path to something unexpected.
Et le renard.
She couldn't stay, though. She had to find her other 2 children. So she took that path. She followed it towards something ancient. Something with answers. The fox looked high and low, searching for any sign of her cubs. Points of light showed the way to this ancient tree. It was as if each one had a story to tell, all their own. The land was trying to tell my story, too. I felt like I was right behind her the whole time.
Les musiques sont vraiment belles. Ah, j'ai cru qu'il y avait un baby de mort.
As a kid, did you ever do show and tell in your class?
Yeah, I think I only did it once, when I was in the 4th grade. You know how my life was around then. I wanted to show my class what helped pass the time and distracted me, so I brought a dozen paper cranes I had made. I think I told everyone how badly I wanted to be a bird and fly, embarrassingly enough.
Don't be embarrassed. Every kid wants to fly. For me, it was another toy from my dad, a wooden boat. I remember guarding it so carefully in my hands as I walked into class. When I sat down, a group of boys immediately made fun of it. They asked which trash can I found it in, or why an ugly log was my favorite toy. When I got up, I didn't even want to tell them my dad had carved it. I said it was a joke gift my friends had given me.
Kids can be so cruel.
Some of them are. I shouldn't have let them get to me, but it did. It's amazing we bounced back at all. Do you remember what my dad did for a living?
Wasn't he like a lumberjack?
That's one way of putting it. If wood was a canvas, then a carving knife was his paintbrush. Even after working a 50-hour week, even after his hands were more splinters than skin, he would bring home the nicest piece of Alaskan weeping cedar and make me toys. That wooden train was the first toy I can remember, and I loved it. I just knew from a young age I was going to be a lumberjack. like my father.
Merde, non. What? J'ai bugué? Non, d'accord. Ok. Ok. Je galère. Yeah. Ah, c'est agréable.
Usually those kids would leave me alone, but somehow they could tell I was different. They made fun of how far away I lived.
Okay,
They
sounds
called
like
my
me.
dad a sourdough. I was a blabbermouth as a kid, telling my dad stories I made up for hours.
Un truc
After
en haut, là.
that show and tell, I didn't tell him much anymore. He didn't know exactly what was wrong, but his best guess was that the toys he carved weren't cool enough. He carved me a tank and tried to tell me what it was like to be in a real tank as a serviceman.
I didn't know your dad was in the military.
Yeah, in the army. The sad thing is that I'd pretty much forgotten until just now. There's so much I still don't know about him.
I'm sorry. He knows how much you love him. You're going to see him again soon and have some closure, I'm sure.
Allez, la touche là, hop, hop. Bambi. Allez, Bambi. Ok. Ok, là et là. Je meurs pas, je perds. Oh, c'est bon.
drew. I asked myself, why talk to anybody anyway? Why bother when I'm happy by myself? I started drawing a lot, mostly animals I saw in the woods by my home. I then imagined designing my own hideouts with things like TVs and pantries full of chips and cookies. I think that idea of leaving home and drawing blueprints started my career. I found a lot of solace in that.
I'm not surprised, but I did the same thing, you know? There's something special about having a place to call your own.
And now look at us. Well, if you count renting in an overpriced city.
It's as close as we can get for now.
J'ai fait bugger le jeu, je suis obligée de tomber. Bambi. Mais j'ai pas sauté, je suis débile. Elle est où? Non, c'était trop. Non. Oh, ça me saoule. Allez, allez. Je suis trop nulle. Voilà, petit chat. Franchement, la musique, elle est nickel. En fait, je parle pas parce que je suis. suite. Ah d'accord, j'ai changé de monde comme ça. Ah, les musiques, elles sont vraiment belles. Ok.
My teenage years were full of sketching, angst, and trouble. I wasn't popular
Sweeney.
or unpopular.
Ouais,
Maybe
j'avais
just
envie de faire un petit
forgettable.
jeu calme.
I guess that gave me a sense of freedom. So I hung out with crazy kids, doing crazy things, even though I mostly just watched the
J'aime bien.
chaos ensue.
Ça
We did it
détend, ça
all.
fait du
Put
bien.
fireworks in mailboxes, hide roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in
Ça va
Anchorage.
toi sinon?
My dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
I think being an adult means there's no one to stop you making
Ouais,
hard
tranquille,
decisions.
tranquille. J'ai enfin
He
trouvé
had to
un
make a living,
professeur de piano.
and he couldn't be in two places at
Bon.
once.
Yeah, I realize that now. But at the time, I was sure he was more interested in growing his business than what was going on with me.
Tu trouves? Ah ok. Mais tout à l'heure je trouvais qu'on l'entendait pas assez le jeu. Bah attends, je vais baisser un peu. Peut-être juste moi qui ai une mauvaise ouïe. Je vais baisser un peu. Voilà. C'est mieux peut-être comme ça. Tu vas me dire. Ouais, prof de piano. Tu m'entends mieux là? J'ai trouvé un prof, c'est bon. Vaut mieux, tu trouves qu'il faut que je baisse encore? Ouais, mais c'est comme la pilule, il stream, je peux jamais voir. Sinon ça il pompe pas. Ah! Ah, c'est lui qui fait fort. C'est Bambi, moi. Oh, j'ai refait la erreur. Attends, je vais rebaisser un petit coup si tu me dis que c'est trop fort. Et tout à l'heure, je trouvais qu'on l'entendait pas assez le jeu, c'était moi. Voilà. Voilà, comme ça, normalement, c'est mieux. Et toi, quoi de beau avec le travail? J'ai eu. C'est calme en ce moment. Oh, tant mieux. Tu peux streamer comme ça. T'es tranquille. T'es à fond sur Satisfactory, j'ai vu en ce moment. Tu streames beaucoup là-dessus. Ah ok, ça doit être la suite. Je vais rester là. Oh. Non, attendez, excusez-moi. Bon, un plein stream, un livreur qui vient, voilà. Alors, qui m'a fait ma bannière? C'est que tu voudrais demander à la même personne? C'est ça, Sweeney? Ouais? Attends, je t'envoie ça. Tu le veux maintenant? Je te l'envoie juste après le stream en MP Discord. Oh! Ok, ça me faisait voler beaucoup. Ok. Ah, ok, c'est pour le truc. Ok, bah, je te fais ça juste après. J'entendais pas, il y a un livreur qui frappait à la porte. C'est pour ça que je suis partie 2 minutes. Ah, là-bas, il y a un truc. Pas de soucis, pas de soucis. Si tu veux savoir, vite fait, pour ma bannière, j'ai payé... Enfin, j'ai payé, Alexis me l'a offert. C'était dans les 52 euros.
He was working another late night, and my friends were over, saying how bored they were and how they had come all the way out to my house for nothing. One of them mentioned how that old, ugly beyond belief truck was still in the garage, and how we should take it for a spin.
Yep.
I was only 15,
En fait, ce que tu fais, c'est que
so I kind of fought it
tu
for a
lui
while.
demandes ce que tu veux,
The
globalement.
next thing I
Tu peux
knew,
lui envoyer
we
des
were
messages.
careening around the
Et il te
mountain
dit à peu
path,
près le prix
rocks
que
spitting onto the
lui, ça
sides of the
devrait
cliff,
lui
while my
demander.
dad's cringeworthy
C'est ce que
bluegrass
j'ai fait.
blared out the speakers. I drove while my friends were in the back of that yellow and purple truck, throwing beer bottles and trash at anything remotely interesting. Felt like I was soaring in the air with borrowed wings. But all
Déjà,
good
si
things
tu
have
veux, faut que
endings.
tu te fasses un compte Fever. Parce que c'est
A
là-bas.
cop outside of Eagle River pulled us over after he saw us send a bottle rocket into someone's yard.
Ah!
What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
Ah, fiche. En fait, tu vas streamer d'autres jeux que Satisfactory? Juste comme ça. Ah putain, j'ai pas sauté 2 fois. T'en as qui te viennent en tête? Oui, oh, je l'ai eu. C'est bon. Smite, ouais. C'est quoi Anneau? Ça me dit rien. Ah ok, ouais tu fais beaucoup les jeux de gestion en fait en ce moment. T'es pas trop jeu d'aventure. T'as volé une partie de ma bio? Comment ça? Toi aussi t'as dit que tu pouvais pas stream beaucoup? Non, ça me dérange pas. Ça me dérange pas, vas-y. Attends, je me mute, je vais jouer. Bah t'inquiète pas, moi aussi j'avais pas trop d'idées donc je suis allée à l'essentiel. puis j'ai dit que je pouvais pas stream non plus. Là en vrai, en 3 jours, je crois que j'ai fait peut-être 5 vidéos de live, un truc que ça m'aurait cru impossible. D'ailleurs, faudrait qu'on se fasse un Among Us un jour avec, la PE. Ça lui ferait plaisir, je pense. Enfin, en vrai, ça serait sympa. Je peux pas aller là, ici. Rêveur, il est chaud aussi. Bah, faudrait qu'on voie quand vous êtes tous disponibles et on s'en fait un. Ça veut dire qu'on est déjà 4-5. Ouais, faudrait qu'on se mette une date. Vous dites quand vous êtes dispo.
After he drove me home from the police station, I blew up at him, saying how I never wanted to be like him, how I was gonna be someone and leave that hick icebox for good. He just looked forward at the road with tired eyes. I took out that bluegrass tape from the cassette deck and chucked it out the window. In my sage teenage wisdom, I thought I had proved the ultimate point, but my dad had a different idea. He slammed the brakes, slowly bowed his head while gripping the steering wheel, and finally looked at
Pas
me.
de soucis. Amuse-toi bien, Sweeney.
All he said, like it was a polite request, was, "Make this
Fais des bonnes
right."
constructions.
I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after profanity. I found it 30 minutes later, near a small waterfall off the road. I went back to the truck, put the wet tape back in, and sure enough, it worked. We didn't speak another word to each other the rest of the night.
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager, but
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It surprises me too. It's like I didn't really know who that kid was back then. I bet my dad thought the same thing over and over. It's almost like he was saying, "Make this right," to himself, more than to me. My friends would laugh about that night and talk about how crazy it was, and I laughed along, pretending it didn't bother me. But it did.
Ah putain, en gros j'ai des
I
papillons,
imagined
je
my
vois pas
friends
sauter.
growing old in the bush,
Sinon je perds mes
being able
papillons.
to find that thrill in those godforsaken ice fields. It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving, where all I would have to look forward to are lumber yards and evening beers. I had to climb over.
Ouais, pas sûr.
That was my only goal for a long time.
Il m'en faut 3. Ok, c'est ce que ça me dit. Il dit où le troisième? Est-ce que je me dis il faut les papillons? Il y a un truc là en haut, c'est des papillons. Et voilà, j'ai les 3 papillonnés. C'est parti. Et voilà. Ce fut un saut majestueux. Miaou. C'est parti.
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing and turn it into a way of escape, nothing would make me happier. I wanted to create instead of tearing trees down. I wanted to move to the lower 48, not because I hated it there in Alaska, but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had created this monster which followed me around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy into doing what others didn't expect of me. Why did I do that?
There's one fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're absolutely right. Maybe the destination is all that matters in the end. But then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on her journey? And why can't I stop thinking about my dad?
Ah, qu'est-ce qu'on va découvrir? Oh! Oh! Salut, Chien! Ah, tu connais! Ah, on t'y a déjà joué! Ah bah. Bah, j'espère que ça te plaît. Mais malheureusement, en plus, je vais arrêter pile poil parce que c'est un petit jeu sympa. Mais je trouve que ça va faire un petit peu. Parce que là, ça fait 40 minutes que je joue. Je vais peut-être jouer à un autre jeu. Mais ce qui est sûr, c'est que. Dès que là, je voulais faire une petite pause. Voilà, voilà. Mais ouais, bah si tu veux, tu peux regarder le truc et tout. Mais c'est ça, franchement, c'est sympa. C'est reposant et tout. C'est sans prise de tête, c'est agréable. J'aime bien. C'était le petit jeu reposant. Allez. Et ben, peut-être à tout à l'heure. Tchou tchou.